Hey guys, it's Jay Cool and welcome back to another challenge video. Kirby Superstar is a game, but I think Kirby should be a little bit nicer to people than just killing everything. Is it possible to beat Kirby Superstar as a pacifist? The rules are that we must go from brand new save file to beating all 6 sub-games and defeating Marx without killing a single enemy. If we do, then we'll have to rewind to before I killed an enemy. By the way, we're playing on the Nintendo Switch version of Kirby Superstar via a Super Nintendo Switch Online thing. And no glitches or exploits, of course. And just so no one gets on my back for not saying this, bosses we are allowed to kill. First up, Spring Breeze. Stage 1 is not so bad until we get to the Poppy Bros Senior fight. Poppy Bros Senior is incredibly difficult to fight, considering that there's a Poppy Bros Junior here. He should go down after a few tries, but man was this difficult. And Wispy Woods is just as easy as he always was. Near the start of Stage 2, I had to do this really hard thing. And I recommend avoiding the invincible candy. Frosty, or I think that's what he's called, is really easy to fight. Lolo and Lala are just more waiting and guarding. In Stage 3, we have the boss fight against Kracko Jr. Kracko Jr. isn't that hard to fight. But then there's Kracko himself. Kracko is basically just like a more revamped fight of Kracko Jr., except it's way harder and he can spawn up to 2 Waddle-Doos. Kracko was probably the hardest boss in the entirety of Spring Breeze, but after a whole bunch of tries, he went down. And then there's the final stage, Mount DDD. Are you kidding me? Luckily, we weren't in control, so we're not counting that. And now we have the boss fight against King DDD. Yeah, he's not even that hard. He's easy as Wispy. And after a few seconds, he went down. Next up, Gourmet Race. Yeah, there's literally no enemies in this subgame, so it's a free win. And then I couldn't edit all the footage for Dynablade. So the link in the description will be an unlisted video of basically the whole recording of Dynablade Pacifist. Now it's finally time to tackle Revenge of Mennonite. The first 3 parts of this are easy, but then we get to this hammer guy? I don't know his name. He's pretty easy. For the next boss fight, I decided to go with Wing. And the next boss is, who would guess? It's our good old friend Wispy Woods, who's still easy. But after that is Twin Woods, which is basically 2 Wispy Woods. I recommend getting rid of 1 first, but considering that I'm not so much high on time, I gotta do this quick. I highly recommend getting your copy ability stolen by this ninja, mainly because there's no way to damage boost past him. Then I gotta do this really hard thing. And the boss fight against the 2 bonkers are easy. Then get your copy ability stolen again so you can have fire. Getting fire is necessary to progress, so I think that was a good trade-off for her. Then at the next section, lose fire. The fight against the Mennonites are pretty easy. Then there's the fight against Poppy Bros Sr. and the Fighter Joe guy. I recommend getting Poppy Bros Sr. to blow up Fire Joe guy, and then have Poppy Bros Sr. blow up himself. Okay, I'll take that. For the boss fight, I decided to go with a helper yo-yo named Jim, and decided to go with Beam. Jim will eventually die, but once you know it, he's already done most of the work. Now, I highly recommend saving Beam for the rest of the sub-game. Fighting Frosty with Beam is really easy. And for this guy, I had to turn my Beam into a helper, and then immediately suck him up, get his copy ability, immediately throw it out, and then dismiss my partner so I can get Beam back. And Beam is probably the best ability for this section. And fighting Heavy Lobster with Beam is really easy. This fight was really easy once I remembered what you're supposed to do. And the rematch against the Meta Knights are really easy, as always. And now, it's time for the fight against Meta Knight. Yes, this is the strat. Meta Knight is too dangerous to fight with sword, so I recommend Beam. And I recommend doing it quickly, because I don't have a lot of time. After Meta Knight has a low enough HP, I recommend turning Beam into a helper so he can beat him. The final section is easy since it doesn't have any enemies, and with that, that's Revenge of Meta Knight done. But now it's finally time to tackle the Great Cave Offensive. The Great Cave Offensive is my least favorite subgame in this game. It's long, it's confusing, and it's like the Great Maze from Subspace. Even though collecting treasures are optional, I decided to grab as many treasures I could find. The first boss fight I did was against Bonkers. Getting past this enemy after getting the treasure chest was painful. I decided to choose Jet here, which that was a major mistake. Cause this next boss fight is painful to do with Jet. I literally had to ram into him while he's on screen with the risk of losing Jet. And the funny thing is, he didn't even dodge a Jet. This minecart section killed a bunch of enemies, but it's not Kirby who's killing them, it's the minecart. And then there's the boss fight against Windows, I think that's what it's called. Basically, I can only ram into them once every cycle. It took me 2 minutes just to beat this fight. There's another minecart section which the minecart is killing the enemies, not Kirby. And another one. God, how many minecart sections are in this subgame? I had to do a really risky jet thing here, and then this happened. Triforce. That's funny. And now it's time for the boss. The ring bearer thing from Mario Odyssey. It's a pretty easy fight. All you gotta do is just wait and then ram yourself into its hands with Jet. Then we have like the 5th or so minecart section. One survived, you shall be remembered. In order to hit this bomb block, I had to turn my Jet into a helper and hit the bomb block, dismiss my partner, and then get Jet back. Once I got out of the Great Cave Offensive, I took a breath of relief. How did it take me so much longer on my first playthrough? But then I realized I had one more sub-game to go. And that is Milkyway Wishes. Milkyway Wishes works a little differently than the other sub-games. Basically, you have to find a deluxe pedestal, and whatever copy ability is on that, you get to switch around for the whole sub-game. The first stage's boss fight is Twin Woods, which has this new worm attack, which is really hard to dodge without killing any of the worms. After a few dozen tries, I managed to beat them. And in stage 2, I finally get my first copy ability. Parasol. I mean, I'll take it. Luckily, not so while later, I find my second copy ability.
Beam attack!
I mean, I can't really do a Kirby challenge video without including beam attack at least once. Stage 2's boss is the freaking whale, but luckily I have a useful copy ability this time. In stage 3, I get my saving grace, Jet. You'll probably be using Jet for the most of Milkyway Wishes. And then I found Wing. Okay, well, it's not as useful as Jet, but we'll get it. The rematch with Kracko is pretty funny, since we start out with an invincibility candy. Jet is really useful in Stage 3. I mean, just look at this perfect flying. And the boss here is a chameleon, I guess? I then made a helper just to beat the boss. Well, we can get Jet anytime we want in Milkyway Wishes. Ram into Chef Kawasaki again. Make Poppy Bro Sr. blow himself up again. Oh hey, we also got Bomb, that's pretty cool. Ram into Bonkers again, which we also got Hammer, that's pretty cool. Beam attack on this bug guy. Use Bomb on the Mario Odyssey Ring Bearer guy. And that's it of the stage. I found Yo-Yo in the next stage. Maybe that'll be useful later. Instead of telling you about all these boss rematches, let's show you them. Yeah, eat your own medicine. Freaking crusted crown ripoff. Crown and then clown. Frick you, Bonkers. Donkey Kong is better. And, smack him in the butt. In the final stage, I managed to find my final copy ability, Ninja, which is absolutely useless. And the boss fight of this stage is Windows, which we already know how this ends. And after all that, we end up in a shoot-'em-up section? This part is probably the most difficult part of the run, since it's really hard and it's really impossible to not get hit. Look at how many times I had to rewind here. I decided that it's okay for us to shoot the things here since, well, let's face it, all of them are gonna blow up anyways. And the boss fight here is just really simple. God, why did we have such an easy boss for such a difficult section of the run? But then, I made a big oof moment. So, it turns out now we're going into the final boss fight with Jet, and with one hit remaining. Which, it's impossible to not get hit when using Jet. I decided to turn my Jet into a helper since he can damage Marx while I try to not get hit. Yes! Oh my god, frick you, Marx. And there's the meme. With Marx defeated and Kirby taking his victory nap, the Kirby Superstar Mr. Nice Guy run is possible. Now, do I recommend doing this run? Absolutely not! This made me hate Kibble Knight.